right, welcome back. Welcome back to Hogwarts, Alec.
Potter.
Harry
There's a
Potter.
there's a distinct upgrade in the Potters in this installment.
That's right. We're
Yeah,
here to talk about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, or as it's known
yeah.
other in other places, Harry Potter and the True Chest of Wonders.
Imagine if they changed the title every single
Worldwide,
time.
worldwide, it's known
That
as
would
Harry
be
Potter and the
that would
Chest
have
of
put
Wonders.
the Chest of
They
Wonders.
didn't
It's like
think
the Cave of Wonders, but
we thought they didn't think we would be appropriate enough to handle that title.
no way.
And
Yeah,
I agree. So the
yeah.
Chamber of Secrets. This is the second Harry Potter film. Very true. And
Second Harry Potter film.
if you're with us on the channel each week, we're going through the Harry Potter franchise. It's a big journey.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be
A
big.
wizarding world.
Yes.
No mudbloods allowed. That's for damn sure.
Wow.
Though.
Wow. Okay, we're going out with the curse words here,
Fucking
Zach. All right.
muggles. Fucking
My
mudbloods. Get them out of my videos.
Oh my gosh.
All
Oh my
right.
goodness gracious me.
But we welcome all and our viewers.
But the implication there though is that there has to be there has to be some magic blood somewhere in their bloodline, you would think, right? Wouldn't that be you would think that maybe indicate that? I don't know. I don't know the logistics of genetics.
Well, he said.
But like no, well you think of yeah, okay, because they're not pure blood families, right? So they may have had squibs or or someone who had married a Muggle before.
Well, yeah. Who says it?
And
Doesn't
so
the Hagrid say that? Someone says that about how it's like, well, there's pretty much no one out there who doesn't have some magic in them at this point.
yeah, right. Yeah, it's hardly any of us that are half blood or less. Yeah, so it's like yeah, so
Diagonally.
which makes sense. Yeah, diagonally.
I couldn't believe he did
So
that. How do you fuck that up?
so he's nervous. He's a nervous little boy, you know. So this is actually one thing we did not do in our first review. I was realizing this after we talked about it. We didn't really talk about the plot like at all. We just kind of like talked about like our
But
scenes that we
people know these
liked.
movies. You know, people know these movies.
Okay, we do, but we did that with all the other ones too. We haven't like all our other movie series. We've still talked about the plot at least a bare bones description of the plot. So, just to recap: Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone. Harry Potter finds out that he's a wizard. He goes on to a bunch of magical adventures. He gets transported into the wizarding world. He finds out that a dark wizard killed his parents, and was the one that left a scar on his forehead. He gets into a lot of hijinks and at school, but uncovers a plot to retrieve a stone, which is supposed to give people immortal life by producing an elixir, the elixir of life. And then discovers that Lord Voldemort has returned and is trying to get a hold of it. Of course, making friends with Harry and Ron. With Harry, makes friends with himself with Ron and Hermione, his friends, and going on all kinds of adventures to do so. And discovering that it was his mother's love that protected him from the. She selflessly sacrificed herself to protect him, and that love protected him from being killed.
Much like Padme Amidala.
No,
Yeah.
not like that at all, really. But
Very similar.
it's not really at all, actually. But anyway, coming back into this one, Harry hasn't heard from his friends. He hasn't heard from his friends all summer. It's later on in the summer. It's apparently it's Harry's birthday, so it's July 30th. July. So and they discover Harry discovers that his letters have been being kept by a mysterious creature who makes himself known, Dobby the house elf. Old Dobby.
Mm-hmm. The icon Dobby.
The icon, the true icon.
Fashion icon.
It was interesting because I was watching because sacks are real in this year. Pillowcases are real in. It was interesting because I was watching this movie, and one of the first things one of my housemates says is just like, "I hate Dobby." I was like, "What?"
Fucking hate that
He's
guy.
just like, he's just like, he's so annoying and awful. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, sure, he's annoying, but like, I mean, the thing that I actually really like, is that Harry reacts basically the same way any of us would react to being like that. He doesn't really tolerate. You know how like Jar Jar Binks is sort of like like a tolerated character. Harry's pissed off at Dobby for like 90% of the movie.
No one addresses Jar Jar Binks's energy. It's just like accepted. Yeah.
They just sort of accept it. But no, Harry's just like, why are you doing this? Scruff. And at one point is like, you gotta tell me what's going on. You can't stop. You have to stop doing these things to me. Yeah, so that's understandable energy, you know.
Yep. And I mean, like, if it couldn't get any worse, he's literally setting him up, framing him basically with this floating cake business. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't have it hard enough here. Though Harry didn't do himself any favors by doing the full-on hover hand all the way to the cake.
So one of my favorites is that there's one of the deleted scenes. There is an extended version of that scene where so it's like even more prolonged. So like the cake's floating over even more slowly, and it's like you know, both the Dursleys all see it, and then and, you know, they're trying to like distract the Mrs. Mason. You have a lovely dress, and he's like, all my dresses are tailor made. So, oh man, yeah, he did not help. He did not help himself, but he sprung from his prison. They put bars on his window. But he sprung from the prison, and he goes off to the Weasleys. And honestly, everything with the Weasleys is some of my favorite stuff in the whole movie. I really like this movie a lot. This is, I think this is just a step up in every way from the first one, except for one very unusual and strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Radcliffe's acting. I think he's worse in this film than he is in the first one. Everyone else is so much better. Everything feels like warm, fuzzy, and established. But man, there's like some lines that I'm just like, is that the best take you could have gotten? Because it's really, he's took a step back in this one, but that'll be corrected. Next one, I think he's great. So
see, I didn't like this one quite as much as the first one, actually.
Why? I'm curious.
I don't know what it is. It just didn't have as much of an impact as watching the first one, but maybe that's the bias towards establishing the universe to begin with. But I don't know, maybe as I unpack it more, maybe I'm still not like locked in on exactly where I would place it, but
well, here we flesh out a lot of added details. I think the first one does a really good job of establishing everything. We get Diagon Alley back again, but I think we get like a lot more of we're fleshing out like some of the corners a little bit more. So we have the dark wizard side of things. Like we get Voldemort basically in the first one, but in this one we see more activity from like the Malfoys. Like Lucius Malfoy is a little bit of a shady character. Nocturne Alley, that whole sequence. So there's like a whole like underbelly of a Diagon Alley. There's Nocturne Alley that's like an off street where like apparently there's a bunch of like dark wizard stuff down that way, or maybe more like sus stuff just in general. But then you also have like the Weasleys. You have like the burrow and everything, their whole house. So you see how like magical people live.
Right, yeah, I like that. I do like that.
Yeah. And I really like that a lot. They're just a warm, friendly, cozy British family, and I like it.
That's true. Lucius was so weird. The freaking he's just immediately like, okay, he clearly looks. I mean, it's similar to Draco, where he's got that bad, like up to no good look. And then he has this weird standoff with the Weasley father,
Arthur Weasley.
Right? Yeah.
I love that interaction, and I wish so much there was more of that in the movies, because there's more of it in the books. there's several different standoffs they have with each other, and I wish it was in the movies more because they're essentially like ideological clashing there. Like you've got Arthur Weasley loves Muggles, a big family, like bright shining light of like good in the wizarding world, and then you have Lucius Malfoy, cold, stern, single son, has a very sort of strict and rigid view of what makes value in the wizard world and like what true wizarding should be, and
owns
yeah,
owns at least one slave.
owns at least a slave. Yeah, he owns a slave. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, so so
So not good.
yeah,
As you'll
yeah.
find out by the end, not good.
Not good.
You just give me very like weird champ kind of vibes from him.
Weird champ. That like PogChamp, but like
Yeah, that's Twitch talk.
Twitch
Gilderoy
talk.
Lockhart. I'm not a huge fan of Gilderoy Lockhart.
Oh my! Are you serious?
I'm not.
No, he's the best part of the movie.
No, he's not. How did he get his job?
Yes. How did he get
How
his
did
job?
he get that job? Like, they don't
So I
vet
feel like
anybody?
So they sort of, I think they talk about it in the book a little bit more. That I can't remember exact. It's been a while since I've read the books. I feel like they talk about it like slightly more there, where it's just sort of like they had to fill the role, and it was like I don't remember. It is an excellent question.
So
I don't know
that's
how
the
he got his
question
job,
is,
but like
everybody knows. All the professors know he's a joke. Like,
yeah, all the
and,
professors
like,
are at least so maybe they don't all know per se.
Or if he's like a
But they
laughingstock
by
to
the
some
by the by the end they know for sure. I mean, Snape catches on real fast, yeah, but
yeah, it's like this guy can't do like barely any magic. Like, how's he?
Yeah.
They didn't even. What did I write? Something about Oh, I
Actually,
said
good question.
the professors are all unhinged. There's like
what do you what?
there's like no stability in there. Like, they're all just going off like every second. Filch is like accusing him, like Harry Potter is just getting
Well, he's-
accused for things like,
He's not okay. Well, Filch isn't a professor for one thing.
well, to whoever worked the staff is just
This
all over the place.
staff is unhinged.
Yeah,
What's wrong with Madame Pomfrey? How is she unhinged? She's just like a stern nurse.
that's true. That's true.
How
but
is
it's
how is
just-
Professor Sprout unhinged? She's doing her job. She's doing her best to try to take care of those mandrakes.
Yeah, and luckily
is-
that just happened to be very.
How's McGonagall unhinged?
Luckily, they just got the lesson on mandrakes just as they became the most relevant thing in Hogwarts.
Yeah,
to curing
that's
their
nice, right?
petrification. It worked out.
Yeah,
They're
that worked
not
out pretty
all unhinged.
good.
I just felt like it just seems like these like the different members of the staff and professors, they just kind of go off and do their own things at different points. Like Snape's was doing his stuff in the first movie. Like it's just like there's no sense of control there. They'll just like randomly harass Harry about something, and then Dumbledore has to step in and be like, yeah, no, he's actually good. He didn't do anything wrong.
Well, no, in this one he does step to their defense to begin with here.
Yeah.
The first thing. He's like, perhaps Potter and his friends were simply at the wrong place at the wrong time.
What did he say after that?
But then however, the circumstances are suspicious. I, for one, don't recall seeing Potter at dinner. That was my fault, Professor Snape. You see, I was having Harry help me answer my fan mail. That's why we came looking for him. I could probably quote this whole movie, by the way. It's kind of bad. This movie in particular, I don't think I can do it with Sorcerer's Stone, but this one in particular, for whatever reason, maybe not like the whole thing. If I might need some like prompting, but I could pretty much quote it the whole thing. It was pretty obvious what you're going to do, and I could have blocked it if I'd wanted to.
It's so dumb.
It's pretty obvious.
He's so dumb. I mean, he's the classic fraud of, his whole existence is built on lies.
But I really like that though. There's something really like, yeah, it's ultimately the performance. I think the performance by Kenneth Branagh, he just totally sells this smarmy, douchey loser.
There's no subtlety about it. From the jump.
No, but you can tell that like someone like this. I mean, people like this exist. Shoysters like this exist in our reality. Mm-hmm. So like you can totally buy the fact that like he's able to just sort of dupe people. Like he's just very charming and like sure he seems that he actually legitimately duped people because he was able to, to change their memories. The people that actually did it.
This is one trick he's got. But he duped Dumbledore into giving him a job like that. And how you duping Dumbledore?
Do you want to know the? Do you want to know what the? Do you want to know some of his justifications as to why he did that to some people?
Why?
In the book, he doesn't really go into it in the movie. But it's because they all had strange abnormality. They weren't as handsome or as charming as him. They were either ugly or weird or anything else. So he decided to take credit for it instead.
Yeah, it's only right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want them as the face of anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. One thing I do love in this movie is Ron's owl. What's his name?
Errol.
I love
the Weasley family owl.
I love when he hit the window, and then I love when he does that crash landing and just like lays there
into the
like with
into the crisps.
Timing.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually really funny because my Mike, my housemate, pointed out like in the beginning of the scene, like that is a really big bowl of crisps, and I was like, yeah, that's because the owl's gonna fly right into it. Remember? It's like that's like why it's just like this huge bowl, just like overflowing.
But I love he's a funny owl. He lays there just long enough for him to grab the note, and then he gets up. Gets out of there.
It's true. It is quite funny.
Yeah, and then that whole howler note, like they like always throw in every movie. They're gonna throw in these random little magical elements where it's like, okay, I guess that's a weird bit of magic that like it's got its own name. It's a howler.
Yeah,
it just yells at you and then rips itself up.
Weasley's got himself a howler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's lots of cool like just like magical bit. I think one of the things this movie like makes such a point, and the previous movies as well make such a point of showing off the magic, but I actually think it's more interesting how more subtle they are in some of the later films. I think there's a lot more subtlety to it. Which is, I don't know, it could be a mixed bag. You know, I could see people preferring it kind of always being sort of like a focus of highlight, like here's the dishes that are doing themselves, and here's like the knitting that's going on by itself and stuff like in the Weasley household, or
no, I think I would prefer. I think
or just general things
the
like
subtlety
that.
Generally, I don't remember the movies very well, so it'll be interesting to see.
Because I can think of a scene in, I think it's the next movie, where there's like a shot where they're like panning through like a corridor, and there's like 6 different magical things that happen, and your brain can only really, unless you're really really paying attention, your brain can only really process like 2 of them.
Right. So
it's like it's pretty cool, like how some of the stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. In any case. So, yes, Gilderoy Lockhart is also present. We have introduction of some more nefarious things, but we also then are fleshing out some of the lore of Hogwarts itself. The 4 founding, I would say founding fathers, but they have
That's right.
2 women, so it's not founding fathers. It's just the founding members of Hogwarts. Mm-hmm. So Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Gryffindor.
And
We're
of
all
course, and of course, Salazar is the one
Salazar
who's against
Slytherin.
against the green.
Right, right. And so he thought no, he was very very purebloods only, whereas the rest
Yeah,
of them are like, dude, what's your problem?
I
And so
love.
then he left.
I love how it's just a known thing that Slytherin's just like the bad. It's the bad class, you know.
We do have some Gryffindor bias, I think.
Yeah.
I think there are good people in Slytherin, but Slytherin just has more of a tendency to
Good
go
people
because it's
on
that
both sides.
it's the ambition. There's fine people on both sides. Do you think Donald Trump is a Slytherin?
He would like to. He would definitely like to be a Slytherin.
He would. I think he'd want to try to be a Hufflepuff. Everyone loves me. Anyway,
He's the Gryffindor of his story, though.
he's
That's
the
for
Griffin.
sure.
He's so brave. He's so brave. He's so brave to stand there, to stand trial in New York. Isn't that going on right now? I don't know. Let's not talk politics. Screw this. Harry
Someone
Potter.
asked. Someone asked Trump, like, "What house would you be in Harry Potter?" And he's like, I would be the headmaster. Who are you kidding? Dumbledore, move
Are
aside."
you kidding? Dumbledore, I mean, who elected this guy? Like, look at him. He's just, he's decrepit. Look how old he looks.
Mhm.
Which is another thing I also want to mention.
Did you see
Richard
what happened?
Harris.
Hold on, did you see what happened at the end of? You see what happened at the end of Sorcerer's Stone? Steal the vote.
It's just-
Recount.
They recount the numbers, and look what just happened. And just look at Dumbledore. I mean, in the next movie, he's like a different person. It's a total disaster. He's a total fraud, total con man. So anyway, all that crap aside, Richard Harris did look visibly unwell in this movie in comparison to the other one. He was dealing with Hodgkin's disease, I believe. So you could tell he was more gaunt. His voice was weaker. Man was doing his best. He was still doing a fine job despite that, I think. But unfortunately, he would pass before the next movie would come out, and he will be taken over by Michael Gambon in the future. We will get to my opinion on him later on. But for a final effort, I feel like he did just a great job for what he had to do.
Oh yeah.
But mysterious things begin happening at Hogwarts. First of all, Harry starts hearing voices, and then lots of crazy, creepy murders start happening. Like Filch's cat all of a sudden is like strung up by its tail, and it's like there's blood on writing on the wall, really creepy messages. We find out Harry's gift of being able to speak to snakes is apparently a Slytherin thing. It's like Salazar Slytherin could talk to snakes, so hey, this heir of Slytherin that's showing up in this bloody message on the wall, people are starting to think it might be Harry, because hey, he can talk to snakes. That's kind of creepy and weird. It's not normal in the wizarding world. So
Harry gets blamed for everything anyway, so might as well be, and then
yeah,
see how that goes. But it's just so funny how Harry's always just like walking into stuff, and then he turns around and it's like, Harry, did you just kill that person? Like he was standing next to the freaking petrified body.
Yeah, where it's like nearly headless Nick and Justin Finch Fetchley. He's just like shows up next to them and then caught in the act.
It's like, come on.
I'll have you this time, Potter. Mark my words.
Every time.
No, Mr. Filch, you don't understand. Yeah, so then we have other weird things going on with the spiders. There's always like spiders moving around, like moving away from the scene. They're like single file too, which is, spiders don't do that. That's very weird. All of these weird granular details come to a head, and the mystery is solved. I think that the reason that I like this so much, I like mysteries. It's no secret. And I think this one, in terms of like building up its mystery, it does it so early on in the story, and just builds it progressively, and all of it has payoff at the end, and it's all like creepy but satisfying. And I think that's the thing that I really like. It's a heightening of the stakes to a degree in terms of its sort of the sort of dark tone and the maturity of the story, but it still is still kind of offering that warm, cozy hug feeling that you get from these Chris Columbus Harry Potter movies. So,
Right. I get that for sure.
yeah.
It's also worth noting that Hagrid is clearly akin to Shrek because he drops the.
Because he lives in a hut.
He lives in a hut and he does drop the classic Shrek quote: "Better out than in."
Yeah, better. He does say better out than in. Who's old Ron trying to curse anyway? I love Hagrid in this, but I love it's he's so good. Like that scene with him and Hermione is like that. Like I tear up every time. It's so good. He's it's such a good like little moment where he's helping her feel better. It's like such a good moment. I love that.
Yeah, it's really nice. What else?
Him holding a crossbow up to the door.
I mentioned in the beginning, but mudbloods, this whole idea is brought up of like you're like basically impure blood, and like you said, the Slytherins had the Salazar wanted these pure blood, all magic people involved in Hogwarts, and it's really interesting because it establishes like this almost classist divide and how people see each other. And clearly you can see that as much as you say there are probably good people in Slytherin, it's like clearly had an effect, like Salazar being that person pushing for that. You can see that just like tainted how Slytherin's viewed and how they view things in some ways. So interesting. I do like the exploration of that stuff.
Yeah, it's to me, it's like it does sort of, it does flesh out the world in a really fascinating way because it makes it a lot less like, because the Weasleys are a pureblood family too, right? So it is really interesting in like just seeing that sort of like the ideology clash and having that be a significant part of the plot, but it's not going away, right? It's like it has a resolution sort of in this story, but it's something that still exists. Lucius Malfoy, which by the way, nitpick of mine, Lucius Malfoy would literally never have done that to Harry. Yes, he attacked him in the book. It's true. He raised his wand because he lost his servant. He would not try to use Avada Kedavra and Harry Potter in the middle of Hogwarts. That was I was like, come on. He would not use Avada Kedavra. I mean, he would not use the killing curse on Harry Potter in the middle of Hogwarts.
He does own a slave, and I guess it's just okay to own slaves in this world, low key, because no one took issue with him just kicking him down the steps and and beating him up. Like,
it's a thing that they don't really touch on in the movies so much. A lot more of it's in the books. There's more house elves in the books too. So
interesting. But Harry got Dobby out of there with the old give him some claws. Just like on a technicality. It's like, you just freed my slave. Okay.
Yeah, I also like how like Malfoy's like, well, that doesn't count. And he's just like, no, you did that one.
No,
it's what you do. You just it does count. Yeah, you're like, right. I did give it to him. Shoot. Yeah.
Just so, yeah. Like the little little switcheroo there. Also notice that they love, even just in these two movies, they love doing the bait and switch where it's like every time they go to like scold Harry and often Ron and Hermione, it's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, but we're gonna reward you for it. They always do the little switch in there, like every time. It's
you talking about like Dumbledore that has only broken about a dozen school rules?
Yes.
It is only fitting that you both receive special awards for services to the school. And in the book, he also gave 150 points to Gryffindor for both Harry and Ron, so that basically guaranteed them another house cup.
And they constantly do this. Like they did this in the first movie with the whole troll thing, where it's like, we're going to deduct points from Hermione.
Yeah,
But game add points with this one. Like they
that's
love
right.
doing it.
That's
They
right.
love doing it to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the and currently in first place is Slytherin, but
Yeah, and
now
then
we're
they're
gonna
like,
add
"Get
points to
cocked,
him.
Slytherin." We're just. Yeah, this one. Yeah, basically, this one, Gryffindor won. Basically, kind of it was a runaway. You know, they get 300 points dumped on them at the end of the year. Yeah, no one's gonna come back from that.
It's tough.
Uh,
Oh, and also all exams have been canceled
oh
at
yeah,
the
it's
end.
kind of.
So,
Yeah, I like that. I love the Hermione. Like,
no.
she really wanted exams.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I'm very curious, like, how exams and that whole system works in the world of Hogwarts, because it's not like, what do good grades get you exactly, like, and what's passing, as long as you're passing, isn't that fine? Like, I don't know.
So I can't remember. So they really introduced like grading systems much later, in towards when they're fifth years, and because that's when they're trying to pass their ordinary wizarding level, the OWLs, which are basically like a standardized exam that they have to like do well
Which I don't
in
see.
order to sort of basically so you have to figure out like what you do well in and succeed in, so you can figure out like what you're going to specialize in for your last 2 years. Um, at school to sort of prepare you for the future. Um, and I don't know necessarily how grading works for a lot of other things. I mean, I would assume that like it's probably similar to like marks on other papers and things like that, like out of 100 or whatever. But I think they do. I do remember like other books talk about like remedial potions or whatever. Harry's supposed to be taking remedial potions in Order of the Phoenix. To like that's like his thing. So that's why he's taking occlumency lessons from Snape. So there's this idea that you do have to take makeup classes if you're behind in something, or like makeup stuff. You basically so you could be held back, particularly in not in necessarily a year, but like at least in terms of like some of the classes that you have to take. So that it seems to be to work out in that way at the very least.
Hmm.
So
No, it's just interesting to think
Mm.
about. I do like the mandrakes. I think they're a fun little thing. The screaming.
yeah,
Uh,
screaming mandrakes. Yeah, the adults would kill you, but
yeah.
these aren't full growns, so they won't kill you, but they could knock you out for a few hours. Poor Neville.
Yeah,
Neville then gets swept up by the Cornish pixies. Also,
they never they never care about Neville. He gets done dirty. The professor literally was like, just leave him there. It's fine.
yeah, just leave him there. Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to like prop him up or like drag him over somewhere or like?
There's no respect.
Yeah.
And him getting hoisted up by his ears, like, why is it always me?
No, is it always me?
I just love that, like, Gilderoy's shown to be incompetent in like every aspect. Like, he unleashed these pixies, and then he doesn't even know how to handle them. Like, he didn't even think that through. He runs off, and he's like, "You three take care of it."
Yeah, there you go. There's another deleted scene of that scene where he basically an extension of that scene where before that he has them all take an exam, be like, this is just a little quiz, see if you've done any reading beforehand, and they're all questions about him.
Oh no, that's in this, isn't it?
Is it? No, I don't think it is. I don't believe it is. Maybe it was. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that was an extended scene.
Okay, so I can't say for sure, but because what I did is I watched the movie, and then a little bit later I watched someone's reaction to it. So it was in one of them. I don't remember now that you mentioned it, because I definitely saw that scene, but I don't know if it was.
It might have been a reaction to it, possibly. That
So
would be
is
my
that
guess
in like
anyway.
the extended version? Is what you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like these questions, they're all about him. What is Gilderoy Lockhart's favorite color?
Yeah, yeah.
What, in your opinion, what is Gilderoy Lockhart's most what is it? His greatest achievement to date?
Okay, so yeah, I didn't see all that. It
Yeah,
must have been just from the
yeah,
reaction. But I do
yeah.
remember the part where he's like, most of you seem to have forgotten my favorite color is lilac. Lilac.
Yeah, yeah. Most of you forgot my favorite color is lilac, but Miss Hermione Granger knows that my secret ambition is to rid the world of evil and open my own line of hair care potions.
Okay.
Good girl.
He lacks any subtlety, like whatsoever.
It's so good. I love it.
That's
I
why I'm
love it
saying I
so
don't
much.
understand how he got a job. Like he clearly,
I
the
don't
first
remember. I
interaction
can't
we
remember
get
the
with
like.
him is him in the bookstore, like immediately
Yeah.
just like pulling Harry into a pick for just for
Yeah.
appearances, and it's very clear.
Smile, are you together? You and me make the front page. When Harry came in to buy my autobiography, Magical Me,
You love
which
him. You want to be him.
I don't want to be him.
Just
Gilderoy Lockhart. How did Gilderoy Lockhart get the job?
Is there an answer to everything?
Dumbledore knew that he was. So Lockhart turned about to be a fraud, and the only thing he was good at was casting the memory charge, which he used with many wizards and witches in order to steal their memories and truly heroic achievements, which he claimed as his own in the books. Dumbledore knew this, and that's exactly why he offered him the job.
What do you mean? What? There's gotta be more to that, right?
I think it was like no one. Oh, right. Okay. Well, there's actually a lore reason in terms of like why there's a different teacher every time, and I don't think they ever talk about it in the movies. There's a lore reason why they have a new professor every year. But another reason, literally no one else wanted to take the job because the last guy died. The last guy had been possessed by Voldemort and
Right.
died violently. So no one wanted to take the job except him. He was brave enough to want to try to do it, and Dumbledore knew it's like, well, we pretty much this is the only choice we got. But also, if I hire you, you're going to be exposed as a fraud because you have a lot more people. So you have not only do you have faculty that can now like basically prove that you're a nobody, but you have a bunch of students that are going to see you all year.
Okay, but yeah, so it's a big brain scheme from Dumbledore. I get
guess.
it, but he literally put them in jeopardy. Like if it weren't for Harry and Ron forcing him to go down there, he was about to just leave them with no luck, without being able to get to the Chamber of Secrets.
Dumbledore was convinced that Lockhart needed only to be put back into an ordinary school setting to be real as a charlatan and a fraud. Professor McGonagall, who had never liked Lockhart, asked Dumbledore what he thought students would learn from such a vain, celebrity-hungry man. Dumbledore replied that there is plenty to be learned even from a bad teacher. What not to do and how not to be.
Okay. So
Plus, also, nobody else would have taken the job anyway because
Right.
the last guy that did it literally just died. So,
our schools should intentionally put bad teachers in there so they can learn a lesson.
So there
from
is a
their bad
lore
teaching.
reason why. There is a lore reason why, and we'll get to it when we get to the movie in the book where they explained it. They didn't really explain it in the movie, but they did explain it in a certain book. There is a reason why. So,
Right. But I'm just saying, like it could be a big brain scheme of his, but still that put them in jeopardy. Like he was about to leave them stranded and not even be able to get to the Chamber of Secrets.
the adventure ends here, boys. I know you two lost your mind at the sight of a mangled corpse.
Right, and the students have to navigate this. Like this is just a part of the lesson of having the horrible teacher.
You have to have a bad teacher. Well, it doesn't seem like Quirrell was all that wonderful of a teacher either. He seemed like he was a bit eccentric and not
Well, yeah.
good.
Yeah, he was a little off.
Yeah, I mean, he was he was something wrong with him, you know.
But
He's a little two-faced, you know.
yeah,
So.
I think that there's a difference there. That was intentional on his part.
This guy was two-faced too, though. It's just a completely different way.
Yeah,
Hey.
one day we'll get a good one. One day.
Yeah, but yeah, so they find out there's all a lot of stuff. Boy, this is a lot of stuff that happens. This movie is very long. Also, this is one of the longest Harry Potter movies.
Too long.
Did you just say too long?
It's a principle of mine. I feel like any movie over 2.5 hours is too long.
Okay.
Always.
I don't necessarily agree with you because Lord of the Rings exists, but those are also adapting much larger books and everything and so on and so forth. But I think yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. It is a little long in the teeth. The extended edition in particular, the extended edition is almost 3 hours long. Because I believe, if memory serves, the theatrical version is about 162, 164 minutes, something like that. Which I believe is may actually be the longest Harry Potter film, which is just wild to me to think about. There's probably
Mm.
some fat that could be trimmed somewhere. I couldn't say exactly where. But I do love the flying car scene and
Okay.
the Whomping Willow. That was all fun. We had Quidditch. We had Harry lose all the bones in his arm.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other great scenes that were like the memory scene where Tom Riddle's diary. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're introduced to Tom Riddle, who, as we find out at the end of the movie, is Voldemort.
Whoa.
His who he was when he was a young man, um, and that was his real name. And we see him manipulating, even just through his memories of manipulating uh, Harry to kind of like come to a conclusion about who has been opening the Chamber of Secrets. The Chamber of Secrets is supposed to be the secret place that has a monster uh, that is supposed to purge the whole school of anyone that Slytherin thought didn't wasn't fit to have magic. Tom Riddle being one of the first people to discover it and implement it. He did it. He did it once, but unfortunately, because it was kind of one of those things where you do it once, but then hey, somebody just died at the school. Maybe that's a lot. Particularly when you have Dumbledore on staff at the time. Maybe you don't do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't. But he framed Hagrid for it, and
Yes, he did.
like the big old jerk that he was. Anyway, through our adventures, find the spiders are all have to do with Hagrid. Also, Hagrid had a spider, Aragog. He raised the spider, a giant spider out in the woods. That's a whole scene. They probably could have cut down some of that. I'm gonna be real. That's probably some of the stuff they probably could have trimmed down a little bit. Um, but we're also introduced to Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, in a great scene. I like that scene a lot too. We see that Dumbledore can see through invisibility cloaks. He's got true sight or something. He's specced in all the best stuff Dumbledore did. We see Dumbledore's office for the first time. That's another thing that's really cool about this. You see the Phoenix Fox. Um,
True.
I love that theme. That theme. So John Williams, it seems like, I think he was kind of busy at this time. So he only composed like maybe like 8 new themes for this movie. Like he did like the flying car. He did like Nocturne
That's a
Alley.
lot. That's a lot
He
of themes.
he did like it is. He did the Chamber of
I'd like
Secrets
to see
theme.
you. I'd like to see
He
you
did
make
the
9.
he did the Fox the Phoenix theme. We have some just some new like little incidental themes that they sort of introduce, and because I think in the credits it does say like score adapted by and conducted by someone else. So like he
Okay.
composed all the new music, but it was all like this score is very similar to the first one. Like they're literally using like the same cues, a lot of the same like general compositions
Yeah.
and stuff. But the new themes, very nice addition. Very, I like basically them all. The Chamber of Secrets theme is properly mysterious and dark. The Fox the Phoenix theme is soaring and triumphant, and I love it. I've always loved it, and yeah, I guess that's really all to be said about that.
I will say I love
Music's great.
I love the Phoenix and how he was implemented, and
Oh yeah,
I love the basilisk, and then all this stuff where Harry is like talking about how like they weren't killed because they were seen through the water, through the mirror, through these
Yeah,
reflections and stuff.
everything with the mystery part of it is so tight. I love that. Like the some of the later books, when they make reference to Chamber of Secrets in particular, is like some of the it's to me is like some of the best stuff, because I think this book like nailed the tight mystery so well. Um, like, everything makes sense. Everything fits. Basilisk isn't killing people because they've never they've never seen it directly, and the only one that did is already dead, so they can't die. Um, and then there's all that stuff. The person who died in the bathroom, we were introduced to Moaning Myrtle, so like that's why she died. She's never left the bathroom that she died in, and like all these cool details that they throw in. It's
They leave a
really,
lot in there. Yeah.
yeah, it's really tight. I think she did an amazing job with this book in particular.
I thought you were gonna say
So
Moaning Myrtle.
she did an amazing job. I mean,
The freaking voice.
you know, yeah, this is like a 35-year-old woman that's playing her. By the way, I really like this movie. I mean, I like the thing. So another small nitpick that I have. It's not really small. It's a nitpick that I have. Godric Gryffindor's sword. I hate it.
You say it. You
I
say it.
hate it. I hate it. It's so small. It's not a sword. It's like a tiny little ceremonial thing. The prop department, in my opinion, really dropped the ball on that one. Like they could have made it a real actual sword. Instead, they made it like a dinky little dress sword, and I did not like it. I think the design of the hilt is kind of cool-ish, but it's not really a very good sword, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So that's just me, you know. But power to them. Whenever it's brought back in a future movie, it's still the same prop. So, you know, good for them, I guess. But yeah, I've never liked it. I've never liked how that sword looks. It's just too small. And not really a sword, but
All right. So, anything else before we get to the scores?
give me my wand, Tom.
Yeah, you like that.
He's so bad in that scene. He's like, I couldn't believe it, because he's being outacted like 15 times by the guy who's playing Tom Orville or Riddle. That guy's awesome. Like I kind of wish they were able to sort of bring him back in the later movies, but obviously they weren't able to because he's like old. Because he's like, I think he was like 27 or whatever, and he was playing him there. So like, if you try to bring him back after that, you know, it's like he's gonna be like 30, 35 or whatever when you try to bring him back for a later installment, and he's clearly not a boy. So
Yeah.
anyway,
All right. Well, what score do you give Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
this is like 8.59 to me. I think I'm gonna stick 8.5. There's still room to grow. There's still a little bit that's a little too wooden. It's maybe a little too bloated of a film. The pacing's not always there, but they don't spare any detail in the mystery. The acting is still really, really high. I think everyone improved except Daniel Radcliffe for some reason. I'm still baffled by that. Like, watching this again, I was like, man, he was so much better in the first movie. I don't understand what's going on here. Yeah, just generally speaking, I do like it more than the first film. But yeah.
Interesting. I don't like it as much as the first film, but I still enjoyed it. It's just not as special to as me as that movie was. I give it a 7.5.
Dang, yo, okay.
That's
Wow.
a good score to me. I mean, anything 7.5
Yeah.
is still good to me.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't like as much. I said I saw all the movies, but I'm pretty much going into these watching them. It feels like for the first time. You know, I only knew tidbits of plot points and like the major plot points to come. But
Right.
so I'm interested what's to come. I don't know what ones are the best and what ones are considered the best or not. But yeah, 7.5. That gives us a Tarqaron score of 8 out of 10.
Yeah. still pretty good, pretty high marks, I would say. Yeah, I'm finally getting to use that knowledge that I annoyingly used on the Otaku Brothers podcast, where I sent in one of the longest emails I've ever written to anyone, but discussing everything that they got wrong about their Harry Potter discussion. So.
Wait, what Harry Potter discussion did they do?
I don't even remember. I think they were just generally talking about the movies or something, and there was some stuff that they got wrong. And maybe it would be fun to go through and see, like, because I obviously still have access to the email that I sent, because I have it in the sent area of my email. So, you know, it might be fun to take a gander in there to see what I wrote to them. But.
All right, well, that's just another step on our big Wizarding World journey here. Right.
For sure.
So, if you enjoyed this video, why don't you go check out our review of Birds of Prey.
Sure. Yeah, you got some birds in this film, after all, so...
Yep.
You got Errol, you got Fox, there you go.
Just as memorable and significant a movie as this one.
I barely, I'm gonna be real with you, I barely remember that movie at all. That was pre-COVID, man. I don't remember anything about it. I don't remember hardly anything
life
before
COVID. It's
yeah.
crazy. But
COVID changed me.
It's true. You can go check that out, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and if you do leave a comment, we'll be sure to read it out on the Tarqaron podcast, the next episode we do. All right.
Absolutely.
Click the notification bell and click the link in the description for our social media. All right. See you next week for Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban. We got a new director, new aesthetic. Man, it's gonna be
new Harry Potter actor.
A new Harry Potter.
Imagine they switched him every.
Imagine that they
movie.
changed every movie. It was like James Bond. They changed him after so long.
That'd be so cool. But he's aging. It's like the same Harry Potter, but it's just a different actor every time. Love that, and everybody else is the same.
That would be weird. Yeah. Yep, they can do it.
It's like Halloween Town. Return to Halloween Town.
Yeah, Return to Halloween Town. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Take care. Boy.